What is the most important hormone when it comes to hormone balance? That is what I'm going to dive into today on this episode of the She's Healthy podcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, maybe a friend sent this episode to you or you found it in a search quickly, I'm Lori Aikman. So if you know, like, why the heck does this person qualify to tell me anything about hormones? How can I trust them? I'm Lori Aikman. I am a family practice nurse practitioner, board certified since 2011. Gosh, 12 years now. And I'm also have additional training in functional medicine, functional nutrition, and functional health. So looking at hormones from a deeper perspective, looking at hormone optimization, gut health, and things of that nature. And this is what I do in my virtual practice is I help women. We look at hormone testing to see what's actually going on in their body and then help them regulate it and help them feel better than they thought possible. I love when my clients tell me that they literally didn't know they could feel as good as they do because they've just been settling for normal. They're normal, which is very common among many, many women is feeling tired, having brain fog and fatigue. You can't lose weight. You have terrible mood swings and PMS. Things like that, migraines every month. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. Those are some of the biggies that I see a lot. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay. So I remember in family practice, I didn't have a patient, I don't think, didn't mention at some time, like, hey, can I get my hormones tested? I mean, even men would want their testosterone tested, right? Like we do have this knowledge that like our hormones affect how we feel. And if our hormones are off, it can show up like these different symptoms in our body. But the problem is a lot of us have these symptoms. So it's very, very common, but they're not normal. But the problem is also that we may be going to the doctor. We may be going to our primary care doctor or our OBGYN saying, hey, these symptoms are off in my body. I think I need my hormones tested. I think something's off. And a lot of times we are getting dismissed and being told, well, it's a normal part of being a mom. It's a normal part of getting older. Oh, you're in perimenopause, you're in menopause. This is just par for the course. And really you shouldn't, you just have to accept your lot, right? But I'm here to tell you that's not the case. So, something we have to understand about hormone balance is that there really is a root cause when it comes to hormone balance. Like when you think of hormone balance, you're probably thinking like, okay, my estrogen and my progesterone, maybe you're aware of testosterone as well, but I think most women know, okay, even if they don't know about progesterone, they know estrogen. Oh, it must be an estrogen problem. Like that must be what's going on. Well, that can be true. And there are actually some things in our genetics that can affect our estrogen levels that can affect the symptoms that are having in our body. There can also be like influences from you may have heard, I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested in health, you might have heard that like there can be plastics, pesticides, things like that. The things in our food that can affect our hormones, and that is true too. There's definitely lifestyle things that we can change that affect our estrogen levels, a lot of times driving our estrogen levels up. And we want to, that's something that we can make a change to that can affect our hormone balance. But the type of woman that I work with, I tend to work with, I like to call them ambitious women. Often they're working moms. They could be like a stay-at-home mom that is still very involved, but they're women that are like doing all the things, whether it's a demanding job, they're caring for, a lot of times moms, they have kids, they have families. They're doing all the things, like I said. And so I like to tell my clients that your body is in demand all the time. Okay. Not just like, even if I've had clients tell me, well, I'm happy. I enjoy my life. But like literally you have so much on your plate and you have so much to think about. And that can be affect your body, right? But then we also have like, right, when there's like financial stress, when there's job stress, when there's relationship stress, when there's, we go through 2020 and we're all home all of a sudden and not sure what the world's going to look like, those are stressors too. Then there's a lot of different things that can be stressors on us. And why that's important when it relates to our hormones, you might already, kind of have an idea is like stress can affect your hormones. And what happens is when our body is under stress, and this could be like, oh, I'm stressed out, psychological stress, or this can be that you're in demand because you're a busy, ambitious woman, you're a mom, you're doing all the things, right? That being in demand, what happens is our brain perceives stress. Okay. There's something called the hypothalamus, where it's like, okay, we wake up and I just think of it like I'm getting up, I'm getting my kids ready for school. I'm like, go, 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 fast, fast, remember all the things, right? Your body, you're keyed up. Okay. And what happens is there's something called the autonomic nervous system. It might sound like automatic, and it is kind of automatic. It's not something that we think about, it's something that our body does automatically. But the two parts of the autonomic nervous system are the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is often referred to as fight or flight. You might have heard that before, like, oh, I'm in fight or flight. I'm in fight or flight. And what that is really is that it's very true. Like if we think about ourselves from a primitive, place, like our ancestors, where we were literally, there was animals that could attack us, or, people like, I think of the Wild West or stuff like that, people years ago, literally they would be fighting or fleeing for their lives. And I mean, obviously there's parts of the world where that is still true, but it's a protective thing to go into fight or flight, right? It's our body's natural response in order to help us survive, right? We are hardwired for survival. The problem is that anything that we like, there's so many things that can be stressors. Having too many freaking I'm looking at my phone here if you're not watching this video, having too many notifications on my phone and, messages going off, that can be a stressor where it's like it's on my mind, I'm aware of it, and I'm a little, it's like, I give this example a lot when I give this talk of I used to stress about what people I would have a conversation with somebody and I would think about it, overthink it later. And I would think, gosh, did they take what I said the wrong way? What if I offended them? Da, da, da. And I would stress myself out about something that hadn't happened. I would stress myself out about the possibility of, somebody being upset. I am a people pleaser. Let's say, we'll call it out. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm aware of it and I'm working through it. So that puts us into fight or flight. So if we think about who we are, okay, we're busy, ambitious, working moms, many of us. Our body is in fight or flight like all day long because we get up, we are getting the kids ready, we're going to school, we're going to work, we're meeting the deadlines, we're scheduling the doctor's appointments and getting the groceries and taking everybody to, their after school activities. And then, not to mention your partnership, your marriage, your relationship, or, having any fun for yourself, time away from kids. Like we're in demand all day. And most of us do not take the time and maybe don't even know how to switch from, remember we said we had fight or flight was the sympathetic nervous system. So the opposite of that is the parasympathetic nervous system, which when I learned that in biology class years ago, they referred to that as the rest and digest. So that is when your nervous system is calm and you can, right? Your digestion is actually better when you are in more the rest and digest. So I just want to throw that out there. Some of you that have gut issues, you need to be getting into activating your rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so let's tie this back into hormones. So when all this is happening, when that fight or flight is triggered, This triggers something called cortisol. You may have heard of that. So cortisol is a stress hormone produced by the adrenal glands. Well, cortisol inhibits like all your other freaking hormones. So cortisol is going to impact estrogen. Cortisol is going to impact progesterone. Cortisol is going to impact testosterone. Cortisol is going to affect your thyroid function. I would see clients or patients like that all the time in family practice. They would come in and say, I think it's my thyroid. My thyroid is off. Well, very often, yeah, their thyroid may be off, but it's not just the thyroid is the problem, right? It's this root cause of the cortisol being dysregulated. Okay. So really when we think about hormone balance, you're like, I need to get my hormones balanced because I have all these symptoms in my body. We've got to start first with cortisol. And I will tell you, if you are ambitious, busy working mom, I was like making a combination of those two words. Um, then I would guarantee that your cortisol numbers are off. Your cortisol levels are not normal. I see this across the board in every woman that I have worked with where we've done comprehensive hormone panels. They do not have normal cortisol levels, and it's therefore affecting their sex hormones. Their estrogen is off, their progesterone is off, their testosterone is off, and all the other things. Thyroid is not always functioning optimally. So, I could go on and on and on about this, but I'm going to break here and I'll talk about more about hormones in the next, upcoming episodes. But if you got value from this, if you're like, yes, okay, this explains some things for me, I would love to hear from you. You can shout me out on Instagram. You can shoot me a DM and let me know you listened. You could also take a screenshot of the show, of you listening to the show, right? And then tag me on Instagram. I'm just at Lori Aikman. But if you've been listening to the podcast and you haven't left a review, I would love for you, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Apple is the only platform where there's like the ratings like that. But if you would listen on Apple Podcasts, rate and then review the podcast. This helps the podcast to come up in the searches when people are like searching for podcasts or topics. It's going to help this podcast come up, and it's just going to help women that need to hear this message find it. So I really ask you, if you haven't left us a review, please rate and review the podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. And think of the women that you are helping by rating and reviewing the podcast. The other thing I want to put out there, if you're like, yes, I need help with my hormones, like this is making sense, I want to know more, I just created a new ebook. It's called the Hormone Balance Handbook. You can get that for free. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. But if you go to, the best place is probably to my link tree. If you go to linktr.ee/Lori Aikman, LoriAikman. All my links are going to be on there, but the Hormone Balance Handbook is right at the top. Just click that link and you can get access. And I will give you a heads up that not only do you get access to that ebook, you're also going to get access to a free workshop that I did on hormone balancing. It's kind of like, okay, read the ebook, then next step, here, these are some things that you can do to start helping your hormones. So, all right. Anyways, I'm going to end here. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.